Hello, all you wonderful people out there, and welcome back to my Media Museum. Today, we're diving into box 2 of my 45 RPM records collection, and we're starting off with a really interesting one. Dr. Dave with Vanna, Pick Me a Letter. This is actually a rewrite of the 1967 box top song The Letter, and it was done by a guy named David Cullen, who went to school for dentistry, and apparently that's where the Dr. Dave part came from. I always believed this was Cheech Martin, even though I heard it on Dr. Demento, and I'm sure Dr. Demento presented it correctly on his show. When you listen to it, it sure sounds like Cheech. But this guy was known for making covers of famous artists and impressions, doing impressions of famous people. And the B-side of this looks like it's just the instrumental version with no lyrics, so it's probably the backing track. I really liked the song The Letter, the version that BTO did back in 1971. They actually recorded it when they were working under the name Brave Belt. Came out on their anthology in 1993, but that was definitely my favorite version of The Letter. And moving on, we're going to look at the Bullet Boys here. Now this is close to the end. It's 88. I was doing some research today and trying to find out what was the last RPM record released on a major label. And you don't get a straight answer. There's not really a good answer out there. But it sounds like pretty much around 91 was when the format died off, because that was when the major record companies quit taking returns from stores and issuing them credit for them, so stores simply quit ordering them. They placed all their money into CDs and had more CD stock on the shelves, and 45s pretty much dried up for a while. So I have no idea what the last one produced by a major label was, but it would have been around 91. But anytime you start seeing these barcodes, it's close to the end. It's in the later 80s and near the end. This is 88. B-side here is Badlands. And I can see that from my receipt that I kept, September 6, 2013 was when I picked up this copy. And I need to try to do a little better about showing you these sleeves. That's some feedback that I got from some friends, is that I was kind of throwing the sleeves down and then throwing the 45s down without really giving you a chance to get a good look at the sleeves. So I'll try to do better on that moving forward. I got a lot of 45s, so there's going to be a lot of these videos. I'm going to also be repeating myself, there's no doubt about it. That's just the way it's going to be long term. And here we've got a promo copy of Warrant's Down Boys. The B-side happens to be the exact same thing with the exact same timings. Now, if this had came out decade or so earlier, we would have got the mono on one side and the stereo on the other. But you'll see this says stereo and that says stereo, so both sides are identical, which became common with a lot of those promos that weren't giving you the mono and the stereo. And the purpose for that, again, to repeat from my earlier videos, is that if you were on an AM radio station, you wanted that mono version. And a lot of early artists, especially in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, they were doing exclusive mixes for those monos. Because they knew that AM radio was playing those mono versions and the FMs were playing the stereos. So it was two different markets. And they were producing two different versions for those markets. Not in every case, but in some. Now we got Foreigner doing Women here. This is a really nice 45 to get my hands on, because it's got the modern day on the B-side, which I really like, which was actually the last song that Dave Jones, who was a guitarist for Foreigner, recorded for Foreigner. I don't think it was the last song he did with him, but it was the last song that he did the vocals on. Lou Gramm was the main vocalist and handled the bulk of the vocals, so that's clearly, I'm sure, why that was a B-side. And we still got another Atlantic here, and these are nice because they're actually matched up correctly. Again, a lot of the times the sleeves are not matched up correctly because people loaded up their jukeboxes with these, put the sleeves in a box down below, and when they changed them out, they didn't always bother to match them up, and that's why we get so many of them that are mismatched. Head Games here by Foreigner. Great song, great album. I really love the first 3 Foreigner albums. 4 is when they started getting really poppy and started doing songs that I personally despise, like I Want to Know What Love Is. But anyways, I love the early Foreigner. Love the later Foreigner. Especially loved them with Jason Bonham when he joined them and did some work with them in the later years. But Do What You Like was the B-side from this one, which is also another song off of Head Games. And let's see what we got up next here. MGM sleeve for a United Artist 45. Electric Eye Orchestra doing Rollover Beethoven. So that was a pretty good version. I liked it. I loved ELO. ELO did a lot of great things. And Queen of the Hours, which came off of the No Answer album, as well as this was from the Electric Eye Orchestra 2 album. So here's another 45, another example of a 45 where you got songs off of different albums, not necessarily a non-album track or an alternate version or anything, but 2 songs from 2 different albums. A&M love to do that. You'll see that later. Every time I run across an A&M, it almost seems to apply if that's the case. But we've got another ELO here. This one, this time, was on Jet Records. And Hold On Tight to Your Dreams. Yeah, that was a really great ELO song. Love that song. Let's see what's on the B side of that one. When Time Stood Still. Don't recognize that one by the title, but probably if we threw it on, we might. Because I definitely remember a lot of their stuff. And here's an A&M sleeve with the A&M logo down there and a nice little printed in the USA. And this is the Carpenters with Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft. And if I do remember correctly, don't hold me to this, I think this was one of the last songs that she recorded with him before they separated. Which some people don't even realize that the Carpenters separated before she passed away, which was a tragic thing to happen. Loved Karen Carpenter. She had a beautiful voice. You know, it may not necessarily be my favorite style of music. I'm a headbanger, heavy metal, 60s psych, 70s rock, 80s metal, and anything that sounds like any of that. But the Carpenters take me back to the roller rink days. And Can't Smile Without You was off of a different album, I believe. It was Kinda Hush, and Calling Occupants was from Passage. So there you go, A&M doing their usual thing, I assume, for the sake of promoting the other album. And then here, a lot of people think that We've Only Just Begun was their first song. What was their first song? It really made it big for them. And it actually started out as a commercial for a bank, believe it or not. It was written by Paul Williams, who was also contracted on A&M Records at the time with the Carpenters. David Carpenter? I'm not really sure what his name was at the moment. But Paul Williams wrote a lot of great songs, a lot of great hits for other people. He was in Smoking the Bandit, if you remember. He just had quite an interesting career. And if you really want to see something odd, his magnum opus would have been Phantom of the Paradise, which was his re-envisioning of Phantom of the Opera. I got this Blu-ray recently and saw it for the first time ever. Had heard about it, just never had an opportunity to see it. And it's definitely worth a watch. But getting back to the 45s, the B-side of that is All of My Life, which was actually off of their first album, which was Ticket to Ride. It was their second album that was called Close to You when We've Only Just Begun was released. And that was really the song that took off for them, you know, when they really got big. I remember going to the skating roller rink and skating to that one for sure. My sister, if you're out there, Hello, Anita. How you doing today? So we got 2 more Carpenters we're going to do here before we wrap up this episode. And they are both Carpenters. This one's "They Long to Be Close to You." Close to you. And the B-side on that is "I Kept on Loving You." And the last Carpenters, and the last one we're going to look at in this episode, is "Superstar. Don't You Remember." I love this song. This was another really great Carpenter song. And this is an interesting 45 because the B-side of it has, what was basically a non-album single, but it was the main title for a movie called "Bless the Beast and Children." So, pretty positive it was still the B-side, while "Superstar" was the A. So, we'll be back in a little bit with part 2 of box 2 of my 45 collection. Have a great one.